Hello, listening people.
Hello?
You're listening to Spit and Polish Presents Unappreciated Masterpieces. I am one of your hosts, Ryan Sawinski.
And I am his friend.
Hello, friend.
Hi.
Do you have a nickname by any chance?
It's Bartek, but for my real name, it's Evil Boss Friend.
Evil boss friend? Why are
Yes.
you an evil boss
Well,
friend?
you see, Ryan, I was once born,
Yeah?
and then I grew, and
Yeah.
then I graduated university with 2 degrees, and I'm optimistic for the future.
Don't forget you were 29 going on 30.
29 going on 30, but now I'm much older, like 32 probably. I joined a company, very optimistic, and I was trying to work my way up the ranks, but, the boss at the time, he was a very mean guy. He kept pushing me back down the ladder. So eventually I realized I've had enough. I ran up the building from the inside, obviously,
Of
like
course.
the stairs, to the roof
Yeah.
of the building, like the very top, and I said, "I'm the boss now!" And then the
did,
boss
I
looked up
remember.
and he did this. He go, "Ooh!" and stamped his foot twice, and he had to leave.
That sounds exactly like the plot summary to Skyscraper with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I haven't seen the movie, but, is that what we're doing? Because we're a movie podcast, right? We talk about the movies.
Yeah, this is my hobby, not my job.
That is, yeah.
I'm not evil here.
He's
good
not
here.
evil here. He's a good boy here. So, on this show, Unappreciated Masterpieces, for those who have not listened before, or those who just love to hear what the show's about, I'll tell ya. Unappreciated Masterpieces. We do feature-length audio commentaries for movies that seemingly don't deserve them. And that's not to say that these movies aren't loved by people or even hated by people, but they're, for the most part, forgotten, they're undervalued, they're unappreciated, and we take a look at these movies while we do the commentary, and we talk about the positive aspects of them. We will, of course, talk about some negative aspects, because, of course, there's always two sides to the coin, but we think they're masterpieces in their own right, because a film is a piece of art. Someone had an idea, that person sent that idea off to someone else who said, you know what, this might work. Let's produce this. Let's get a director. Let's get some actors. Let's get a scriptwriter. Let's get some lighting people.
Let's get people.
Let's get people. People were invested in these movies, in this movie, and the audience may not have been invested enough in them. I'm not saying that a movie that we cover on Unappreciated Masterpieces aren't loved by people, but usually they're not. They're usually just like, oh, that movie, or even movies that people haven't heard of before. And we like to say, hey, hear about it now. Hear about it from us, and maybe you'll go watch it. Give the people who made this movie some money.
Yeah, and naturally, because they're unappreciated and forgotten, that means that they're all like old films. They're not recent films, right?
No, sometimes we do recent, hard-hitting films. Sometimes we
Whoa.
do films that come out the year of. We wait till their release onto home video. Maybe give them a little chance to pick up some audience there. Because let's not forget, some of the best movies failed at the box office, at the cinemas, and got a life on home video. Austin Powers. That's an example of a movie that failed in the cinemas, but became a classic on video later. So sometimes we do movies that came out recently. Bartek, we're Spit and Polish.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we called that?
Oh, hang on, it's time. It's because we are always spitting at certain times, as I've demonstrated, and we are... Oh, it's time. Jeszcze Polska nie zginęła. And we're both Polish.
That's right. We are both Polish gentlemen, and we are doing our show on Unappreciated Masterpieces. Now, Bartek, what is the film that we will be covering on this episode?
Ryan, despite my assumption that only old films can be unappreciated masterpieces, this one's not old.
Oh, isn't it?
No.
Oh, so we are doing Skyscraper with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. It's still in cinemas as we record this episode. Great.
Oh, okay. I was wondering what year that was from, but I guess it's 2018.
Oh, it's the movie that asked, can the director of the movie where The Rock is at a helicopter versing an earthquake...
San Andreas?
Yeah, it asks, can that director direct Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in a movie in which he versus a building?
I feel like
It's a very, very challenging movie, I will agree.
I feel like an earthquake would be harder to verse.
Bartek, the Rock only has one leg in Skyscraper. So it's harder because he's disabled.
Okay, so
Yeah,
handicaps.
see? Yep, handicaps, literal.
That's fair
so,
enough.
So is it, and he's still the Rock.
So the next movie he's going to verse a baby, but he's going to have very few limbs?
Well, remember, this Skyscraper came out this year, the same year that asked the question, can Dwayne The Rock Johnson be a zoologist that versus giant animals?
What handicap?
Oh, no handicap. No.
Oh, well, of course then.
Oh, he could do sign language, though. To communicate with the animals.
Okay, so if he gets handicapped, then he can
if he
function.
goes deaf, he can do yeah. And this is also, let's not forget, Dwayne The Rock Johnson is such a superstar. Last year he did the Jumanji movie that did ask the question, can Dwayne The Rock Johnson be a video game character? Which Doom asked as well. But we've already covered Doom. So Bartek, what is the movie?
Well, it's not Skyscraper, because if it was, I'd know what it was.
Oh,
in this
okay.
episode.
Not playing coy.
No, I'm not. But I was before about the whole 2000.
Man, I can't wait for him to say the movie's title, and then I press play on the movie, and it's Skyscraper. Just the look on Bartek's face, we were
like,
the
oh,
audio
great.
commentary.
This is going to be an episode where I haven't seen the film.
Excellent. So Bartek, hit us with that glorious title.
Porvane.
What? Sorry?
Porvane.
No, we're doing a podcast.
No, the title of the film is Porvane.
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 Oh, there's a G in there.
No.
You just had a G sound.
P-O-R, por.
Por.
W, which is a V in Polish. A-N-Y. Vane.
Oh,
Porvane.
Polish. You're speaking Polish.
Well, yeah, because of Spin Polish Presents.
Oh, that's the awkward thing, Bartek. Although I am Polish, I do not speak the language. Some might argue I don't even speak English very well, but those are mean people.
So, what about you Polish, if you don't speak the language?
Oh, heritage.
Oh, there are people like that, yeah.
Yeah, they're called me.
Yeah.
The me people. So, Bartek, say the English title for me so I know what movie we're watching.
The English title, the angielski titul,
Okay,
is...
showing off now.
Well, I'm Polish, so... Well, I mean, heritage and I can speak the language. So...
Bilingual, so he's showing off.
No, I'm not bilingual, I'm heterolingual. That's a joke, guys. Porvane is the Polish word for kidnap. Yeah, I kind of made that sound like two words. Kidnap.
Are we watching the movie Kidnap, in which it kidnaps for the whole movie?
It's inspired by bedtime stories.
Oh my god, I would love a sequel to Bedtime Stories in which Halle Berry's in a car the whole entire movie, driving around in Adam Sandler's dreams. So, Kidnap, some people may go, that's a movie that I haven't heard of, and, you know, that's unfortunate, because this film was filmed in 2014 and was released last year.
Yeah.
You know, it got pushed back several times, but it finally got released, and it's a film with Halle Berry. Now, the thing is, you guys have to do a little bit of legwork for this podcast, because I imagine you're going to have to get yourself a legal copy of the movie if you don't already have one.
It's on Netflix.
It's on the Netflix.
Which I didn't check till after I watched the film. So
Oh, you dum-dum.
Yeah.
I watched it on there, and it was... I watched it on there, and it said it was a Netflix original, which it isn't.
Yeah, that's what my brother told me.
It isn't. So, there you go.
Doesn't Netflix original just mean that it's like that's the only streaming service it's on?
I
Because there are a bunch of things on there with Netflix original. I'm like, they didn't make this.
Netflix, tell us the answer. So, get your copy of the film Kidnap with Halle Berry from 2017 ready, because I'm going to do a countdown from 3, and I'm going to say play, and you're going to press play at the same time, and we're going to hopefully be synced up as we watch the film together and we talk about it. So, I'm going to start this in 3, 2, 1, play. So, Bartek, the film Kidnap is 3 seconds in, 4 seconds in, 5 seconds in. And the film Kidnap, had you heard of it before?
No, I had not. When you told me what it was, I read that. You said, like, oh, Kidnap 2017. I said, okay. And then I think you told me, like, a day or two before I watched it. And throughout those 2 days, I'm like, what was the film called again?
Yeah.
Took me a while. I actually had to look it up again.
So, why hadn't you have heard of it? It came out last year.
Yeah, well, I know that it's an independent film, so I can't imagine it was advertised too heavily, so...
What, you didn't see it on all the buses and trains
No, well,
and trams
I was
in
inside
Melbourne?
those, so I couldn't
Oh,
see. Yeah.
that's weird, because then you'd see the mirrored version of it, and you're like, what's Nick? What's Pandick? That's not how it works.
Pandic.
Pandick. What's Pandick? Is that the
Pandemic?
Is that the sequel to Pan, in which he gets a dick?
Oh, he finally gets laid.
Fuck, that's what I've been wanting from the
With
Peter
nibs.
Pan universe. So you had not seen it or heard of it before me suggesting it.
No, I had not.
That's so unfortunate, because I had not seen it before I suggested it, but I had heard of it.
Well, you picked it for the show, and I'm curious to know what sort of history that could entail.
Well, there's a movie that I also want to do for the show,
Mm-hmm.
as well, with Halle Berry, called The Call. And The Call is kind of like the mirrored version of this movie. And the reason we haven't done The Call yet, one of the reasons is I sometimes grapple with the challenge of knowing whether or not this would be an unappreciated masterpiece, because The Call does have a bit of a following as a movie. The idea of The Call is she's a 911 operator on the phone with someone as they're being kidnapped or hurt, while the opposite is in this movie, where she's the one who's after her own kid being kidnapped, and she can't contact 911. She's the person on the opposite end on a level in this movie. And I had heard the idea of this being like, could this be the new Call? Because The Call took a little while to get some appreciation. It has a fairly decent-ish rating. It has like a 6.8 or 9 on IMDb. That's fairly
Okay, yeah, that's
decent.
almost our cutoff.
Cutoff, we always break the cutoff sometimes. We've done movies that are over 7.
Okay, I haven't.
Bend It
known.
Like Beckham.
Yeah, that's fair.
One or two others, I'm pretty sure. But I said to myself, wow, maybe we should be the guys, the podcasters, that gets the ball rolling on the cult status, or just the popularity or appreciation of Kidnap. Because, The Call got its start eventually, and it rolled into being a somewhat appreciated underground, forgotten movie. And that's why I haven't done it yet on the show, but I think we will do it eventually. But I thought, let's go with the other one that came out only last year. Maybe we can strike while the iron's still hottish. So that's the rationale behind it. And I had heard of it because, I like to follow reviews and movie news stuff of recent stuff to know whether or not I should see it, and sometimes whether or not these will be movies that we will cover on the show in the future.
Yeah.
And this was one that just screamed out, we're going to cover this on the show. And for this episode, it's just you and myself, and I thought, why not just do a movie that's very, very straightforward and to the point? Because the idea of this movie is Halle Berry has a kid.
Yeah.
And he gets kidnapped.
Yep. He never.
Here's
naps,
the title,
but, yeah.
Kidnap. And he never napped. Not that we know of.
I mean, the baby montage that we just finished, there was some napping.
The baby montage that went for like 3 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, the idea is very simple. She's a mother who's, separated from the father. She's trying to get custody of the kid. The dad
Wait,
gets...
is she? I thought they were sharing the custody.
Yeah, but then I guess... Yeah, she is, but I guess at the start of this movie, she finds out that he gets full custody.
Yeah.
Which means that she will want the custody of the kid, because it's kind of like... It's one of these things where it's like, she finds out this dire news of the custody is being taken away from her, but that's the exact moment that she finds out that her kid's been kidnapped.
Yeah, so it's like introducing a conflict and then sort of red herring it.
Now, I did not look up the actors that were involved in this film, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I legit, and I know it isn't, but I legit thought that was Tara Reid as this woman, the blonde woman. I only know Tara Reid from the Sharknado movies and the first American Pie.
Hasn't she been on the show before?
Has she? She has, actually.
I think in a very early episode, maybe.
Yes. Tara, sorry, you have been on the show before.
I can't remember
she
what
was
film.
something great.
I'm pretty sure it was within the first couple of episodes.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, Tara. I'm just mind blanking. If it is something we've done on the show,
Would it be Just Visiting? I don't know.
probably Just Visiting. That was Christina Applegate, but she might have been in there. But Tara Reid, I thought it was her for some reason, and I didn't look it up, and I know it isn't,
Well, when I
because
went
they
on-
would have mentioned it. But she has a very, I reckon she could play a Tara Reid in a movie about Tara Reid.
When I looked up this film on IMDb, all the cast lists, I only recognized Halle Berry.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Halle Berry. What do you know her from, and are you a fan?
Yeah, this was one actress who I very obviously know, but then I questioned myself, like, what have I seen her in? And I looked up her IMDb. I knew that she was in, like, Catwoman and Die Another Day. I haven't seen Catwoman. I know I have seen Die Another Day on DVD once, but didn't remember too much of it.
Yeah.
Then I remembered, oh yeah, she was in some of the X-Men films as Storm.
Yes, she's in the X-Men movies as Storm. That's what I know her mainly from as well. I mean, I grew up on those X-Men movies.
I've seen a few of them.
Did you not grow up on them?
No, I didn't.
I remember very vividly seeing X-Men 1 in the cinema.
I've seen,
because I was young and I was like, oh my god, it's Captain Picard. I remember thinking that. It's like as Professor X, like people were like, oh my god, Professor X, I'm like, it's Captain Picard on the big screen.
I'm not sure if I've seen the full first film. I've definitely seen 2, 3, and the prequel one.
Wow, you've
First Class,
seen one good movie out of the X-Men so far.
2,
That's X-Men 2. Just for the fact that Nightcrawler is in it, and everything else is also great.
Oh, and I've seen the one where Wolverine goes to Japan.
Oh, the Wolverine.
Yeah.
Good. That's a decent movie.
Yeah,
It's
I liked it.
It's fun.
Yeah.
As is this movie.
I liked that film, but I thought that the villain being like a Poison Ivy was a bit random.
A Poison Ivy, yeah. I like, in X-Men 1, Halle Berry puts on an African accent for the character of Storm, because Storm is from Africa. But then in the other movies, she doesn't do that. She just has a normal voice, because apparently it was a lot of effort to put on the accent. And I think that's the problem with a lot of people. Halle Berry is an Oscar-winning actress for Monsters Ball. She's, I've known her from other movies, of course, like, The Call and Swordfish, which we will do on the show one day, because Swordfish dares to ask the question, can we have Halle Berry, John Travolta, and Hugh Jackman in one movie in which you are supposed to believe they are hackers? And the answer is yes, yes, and double yes. So, but that movie's infamous for another reason. One of the things that Halle Berry is obviously iconic for is her looks. She is a very attractive woman. She is one of, often touted as one of the most beautiful actresses. Swordfish is iconic for the fact that she does a topless scene in it, and she asked for like $500,000 just to do that scene. Like it was a big thing at the time, early 2000s. It's like, for one nude topless scene for like 2 seconds, she got like paid $500,000. So she's very iconic for her stunning looks, which she still does have.
She is a Bond girl, so
She was a Bond girl.
yeah.
Yes, of course. That attributes to things. Yes, her being a Bond girl, an Oscar-winning actress, an X-Men, an X-woman, an X-man. I don't know what they.
I think she was always a woman, so.
Well, you don't know.
Not an
You haven't
X-Man.
watched the first X-Men, so
Well,
you don't have full recollection.
all I remember is I think Hugh Jackman at Wolverine and Rogue sitting in a car. Is that her name, Rogue?
Rogue.
Yeah. I think all I remember is them sitting in
Hugh
a car.
Jackman as Wolverine and Rogue
Yeah.
sitting in a car.
That's all I remember.
That's the beginning of the movie when they're in the truck.
Oh, then primacy effect.
Exactly. I remember that movie very vividly because it opens up with Magneto being dragged out away from his mum in the concentration camp, and he uses his magnetic powers to bend the fence. Very visual, striking visual imagery for a young child to see, and it sticks with you. But this is an X-Men, which I think the first X-Men's very underrated. Everyone praises X-Men 2, but I think X-Men, the first one, has a lot of stuff going on that superhero movies wouldn't have if it wasn't that for the first X-Men movie. I mean, Hugh Jackman actually had razor claws. Those were actual metal razor, like razor sharp claws, and he stabbed the stunt woman in the arm with them because she didn't move her arm when she was supposed to. Pretty awesome.
But speaking of an X-Men actress in a car,
Kidnap.
yeah.
Halle Berry shows us something very incredible in this movie, which is she can drive a minivan like no one else can. I do not know how to drive, but if I did want to learn how, I want to learn how to drive a minivan because I did not know until this movie existed how deadly minivans can be if they're used as weapons. Because she uses this minivan as a weapon throughout the movie, and it's great.
Well, it follows the general rule of big car, big damage.
Big car, big damage, but it's also big car with lots of stuff in it. You know, cars with seats and seat belts and sliding doors and automatic and electronic windows and all that. And I did not know how much I wanted to see a movie about a mum in a minivan chasing kidnappers, because that's the whole movie. The whole movie is Halle Berry in a car driving around, and then there's sometimes when she gets out of the car, and those moments are great when she gets out of the car.
On the IMDb page for this movie, there's a bunch of videos there, some of them like trailers, some of them clips. One of them's a Halle Berry interview.
Oh my god. She would have been so proud to be in this.
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird interview because like you didn't hear the interviewer and it would like it would like cut to black and then cut back into her answering a question you didn't hear.
Yeah, those classic ones.
Yeah, and she started off the interview by saying like, "Oh, in this film I play the average woman."
She works at a diner.
Yeah, the average woman because like, there's nothing that special about her. She's just a mum and her love for her child pushes her to do increasingly brave things.
Exactly, that's so true, Halle.
Yep, and she also mentions that she really enjoyed working with the two kidnappers, and then she said, quote, "They were the perfect kidnappers."
They are, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because, look, the movie sets up a few elements for you. She's a she's a separated mother. The husband is with a new woman. We don't see the husband or the other woman. We don't see anyone really. It's just the kid and Halle Berry. And they set up a few elements. Like at the moment, she's on a park bench watching the kid. And they set up this nice little red herring, I guess, of the guy sitting next to her. And he's just the right amount of off. But, like, off in the way where it doesn't actually mean anything. Like, he's just a guy who's just chatting with her briefly on the bench, and you think maybe, oh, is he the kidnapper? Yeah,
and the way the scene ends, it's like nothing really comes of him, so... And you know what? Before we started recording this, I told you a little bit about me watching the film, that, like, when I'd started it, I forgot the title, and then you said, oh, the showing the title in the film didn't tip you off.
Yeah.
And that got me thinking that... The reason I didn't think that is not all films show you the title, but I think it's really, really damn good that this film does show you the title, because seeing that title tells you, oh, so this film's going to have a kidnapping. It's not going to be a situation where you walk in blind not knowing the title. So you're going to have this idea in your head that a kidnapping is going to happen. You see that it's focusing on a kid. You're thinking, obviously, this kid is going to be kidnapped. What's going to be the circumstances around it? And you having that foreknowledge, every character you meet in, like, the diner and the guy on the bench gives you this idea of, like, these are suspects.
These are people that are going to be involved somehow.
Which that will probably explain why that guy seemed a little bit off.
Because you have this kind of sense already instilled in you because of the name gives you the idea of the movie.
You're, in a good way, paranoid.
Yeah, for those who are a little slow... Kidnap isn't a metaphor in this movie. It's just what it is. Kidnap, and we were talking before the episode. Kidnap, what an interesting title.
Yeah.
It's not kidnapped.
Yeah, it's not past tense.
Or kidnapping.
Yeah, it's future tense.
Or kidnaps.
Yeah.
It's kidnap.
Kidnaps would be pretty funny. Present tense verb.
But it would work.
Yeah.
Think about it. That would actually really work for this movie because it is present. He's being, they would, all of those titles would work, but they took the bold approach of saying kidnap.
Yeah.
Just kidnap, which is, future tense. It's so interesting of a choice.
Yeah, the immediate thing that I brought up was, it wasn't like a Taken thing.
Exactly. And she does not necessarily have a certain set of skills. Like, she's not a former CIA. She is, like Hallie said in that interview, just an average person who grows with the situation. It's pretty incredible.
Or at least acts on instincts that she wouldn't have had otherwise. But that title, like Taken, obviously the conflict is someone has been taken, but the future tense thing gives you this idea of, okay, this beginning is important, the part before the kidnapping. So maybe that will like build upon your paranoia of like, oh, who could be, the kidnapper? Is it someone we've met?
Yes, exactly. And I should mention for those at home, this copy of the movie is the 95-minute cut of the movie.
Oh yeah, there was trivia
two
saying that.
cuts. The one that was theatrically released was 82 minutes, and I would love to.
I saw the 97 one then, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember it was like an hour and 37 minutes or something.
Yeah, like an hour and 35 or something, yeah. This is that long, not the 82-minute one, and it does raise questions. What was in the 82-minute one? Because
Or rather, what wasn't.
What wasn't? Because I honestly, this is one of the times in which I say this, and I haven't said this in a while about a movie, but this movie is just perfect in structure because it's very lean and to the point. It knows exactly what it's going for, and I honestly can't think of what moments they could cut out of this movie to make it like 12 minutes less. I can't think of what you could do. I could think of little like mini seconds, half seconds of like
some shots of driving or something.
Some shots of driving or some bits at the diner, but not enough to add up to 12 whole minutes.
I can't see much dialogue being cut. Yeah.
Or poignant moments like, what, do you cut the whole scene of her at the police station? No, that wouldn't make sense. Or would you? Well, I don't know what they would have cut, but I think that the 95-minute cut is perfect length. It adds everything that you need. It has some interesting things in there that throws the pacing in an interesting direction because, this movie isn't just fast-paced nonstop. It's not Mad Max Fury Road. It's not just one car chase. And then they do have little moments where she gets out of the car. She does tactics to get people to help her because, of course, I've discussed this on this show before. Certain movies and TV shows
would go much differently
if they had mobile phones.
Yeah.
Because we've covered movies that, that are from the 90s or 80s in which mobile phones weren't owned by everyone or anyone.
Not everyone had the brick phones.
Exactly. So we live in an age now in which everyone has a smartphone.
And they've developed to the points where the batteries, drain much faster.
Exactly. So
what if this was a mid-2000s film? Yeah.
This movie has to work around that issue of wouldn't everyone have a phone? But it really doesn't need to work around wouldn't everyone. It's wouldn't she have a phone? Because as you see in the scene here,
she doesn't have time to get like backup or anything. Yeah.
She doesn't have time, but also look, this person drives away. And that's very important because you could go, couldn't she just get someone else's phone or get someone to phone the police? Not if they don't have context, and no one in this movie has context for what's going on with her because think about it, you're in your car just waiting for the red light to go green, and then this crazy woman's shouting at you, and then you would drive off
on the freeway too, yeah,
on the freeway,
or highway,
so you understand why no one else is going to phone the police for her.
And on top of showing that brilliant idea of, everyone has mobile phones and it's convenient, but if you drop it and don't notice, on top of the battery being out, you're screwed. And also, when I was watching the film, I didn't necessarily know that she would be on their tail, like, the whole way.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was just going to do, like, a typical movie thing of chase as much as you can, but ultimately they get away.
And then she has to work with the police, right?
Yeah, but no, they went through with the whole...
She's on them the whole movie, pretty much, yeah.
So there is never really any time for her until, like, the one point where she really kind of does lose him.
And then they go to... She does
which is the better part of an hour away, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and it's when she goes to the police station later. And that's a great scene.
Yeah.
I thought it was very great. I thought what was interesting too was, she drops the phone when running in the car park, and that would happen. And she forgets the phone, doesn't see the phone. But you know what would have been interesting? Earlier, she's on the phone to her attorney, and she hangs up the phone by throwing the phone on the ground. Anyway, like, she's like, I'm done with this, and just throws it. That could have been enough to say the phone's broken. But they made sure to not play it too dumb like that.
Yeah, I was
like,
going to say, that would be pretty stupid of her.
Like, it would be like, oh, that's kind of like you did that yourself. It could have been a little bit
created
too
this
much
problem.
too much thick butter on the toast there.
It wasn't
like,
an accident like the film actually has.
Yeah, the film, when she does drop the phone behind her, when she's sprinting in this crazed state, you understand why. Now, can we talk about this moment here?
Yeah.
The best editing of the movie, in which it takes I think, a video game-esque approach to things, where it has this weird fade to black effect.
Yeah, yeah.
With the random cuts and her screaming, and it's just fade to black, and then, the sound kind of swooshes out, and now she's back on their tail. I think that is really artistic and well done.
Stands out for sure.
It's memorable. I remember that. It gives you this sense of dysphoria. It made me feel like a video game would do that.
It kind of feels like a trailer thing too.
A trailer thing as well, but I feel like a video game cutscene could do that as well. It made me feel something that I wouldn't, because it's the only time it does that in the movie as well. I think it's good. Because could you imagine if they didn't do that? It would just be her in a series of shot of her doing like reverse U-turn and then back on it, and that would be boring.
To bring it back to Taken, I remember the only one I've seen is Taken 2, and I saw it in the cinema. And during the driving scenes and that, there were just so many rapid cuts that I couldn't tell what was going on. But with the fade to black, it kind of lingers on the shot just a bit more, so you don't feel lost.
Exactly. I thought it was particularly good that they went there. I've never seen a Taken movie, unfortunately. I know about Taken 3, in which it has that shot of Liam Neeson jumping over a fence. It's supposed to be just a sequence of him jumping over a fence, but it's 18 cuts. You haven't seen that?
No, I haven't. I don't know much about Taken 3.
Tethrekin. Because they used the 3 in there.
That's the best.
Like Scroforum.
Yeah, Scroforum's the one that I think of.
Or Fan Four Stick. Ooh, this moment here. It felt like such a Final Destination moment. Those Final Destination movies where they have a singular thing. Fuck up. Look, if someone said this movie took place in the same universe as Final Destination, I would believe it, because maybe someone in that car was in the Final Destination movie and the tire comes from I would love that. You could actually make it a Final Destination universe if you did that logic of having another movie be the thing that kills the person, because that's the idea of the Final Destination movies. Yeah. Like the Rube Goldberg machine of death, pretty much.
Is that the one where when you kill someone, you inherit the rest of their lifespan or something?
No, I don't remember. I can't remember that aspect. I remember it's basically, you're going to die through some stupid accident or something.
Yeah. All I know is that there was some horror film where you kill someone, you take their lifespan, and I remember they talked about it on midnight screenings. They're like, oh, well, just kill babies then, or something.
Yeah, that would be good. Kill babies. But yeah, I thought it was, this film had a lot going for it, and I don't understand why it's unappreciated. I think maybe sexism.
Maybe some people would think it's, too slow-paced for them.
Slow-paced
sexism,
I think someone saw this and went, an action thriller movie with just a single woman in it? Not for me.
They'll be watching this film, they're like, is this whole film just gonna be Halle Berry driving and making faces and freaking out? And then they watch and they're like, oh my god, my joke was correct. That means this film's bad because I predicted it.
But also, it's still a good movie. I love this scene in which he just, points to her to drive elsewhere, then uses knife. I was watching this and...
Well, knives are pointy, so you point.
Now, I don't know how you were with this, but this movie did what this movie sets out to do, which is to engage the audience. Because I was so engaged with this. I was yelling at the screen, ram into his arm! That's what I was saying. I was like, ram into his arm and break it. Like, if he's pointing the knife, just drive into his arm. He won't have a knife no more. That's what I was saying to myself.
There is a point where she develops that sense of like, oh, you're trying to threaten me again? Ram.
Yeah. But you do understand why she doesn't ram to begin with, because the kid's in the car.
Yeah.
She doesn't hurt her kid. But there does come a point in which, bloodlust does set in.
Yeah, well, as she said in her interview, I can't remember the exact phrasing, but she does, become almost like anti-hero-esque with the degrees that she goes to.
Yeah, she becomes the Punisher, basically. Yeah. But how engaged were you with the movie? Were you saying things to the movie? Were you like, yeah, do that? Were you cheering? Were you scared?
Not out loud, but I was definitely engaged with the film, and there were points very late in where I'm like, you've gone through so much shit, just, I'm okay with you killing.
Oh, yeah, that's one of the things, too. Some people might have been turned off by this movie because murder does happen eventually, people. She does get to the point of attacking and or killing the kidnappers, but in her defense, they're always self-defense kills. They're never like, I kill you out of sheer bloodlust.
Yeah,
like, every time she kills someone, it's in self-defense.
Yeah, it's never, excessive. Like, she doesn't shoot the dead body to get rid of all her rage or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's, a sign of, oh, well, it clearly wasn't self-defense.
Yeah. Exactly. It's always self-defense with her. Now, Bartek, you thought this movie might be a bit more traditional? You thought it might have her lose them and then get the police involved?
I did.
All of that. I did not. I kind of knew that this movie was going to be a car chase the whole movie, but
The long shots kind of clued me in on that.
I thought the movie was going to be a bit more traditional in the fact that the kidnappers would be related to something that we've already seen before, like we were talking about before. Like, you get a sense of, is this guy on the bench one of them? Is someone in the diner?
Is there foreshadowing here? Is basically
maybe is this related to the husband? But it isn't, is it?
No, we find out later on that if the movie was meant to evoke those feelings, they were red herrings.
Exactly, because the kidnappers are just...
They're two members of an international child trafficking ring that has not been foreshadowed at all.
No, they're just two rednecks who kidnap children and sell them for $100,000.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. Because, there's someone out there listening to this that goes, oh, well, Bartek just said it's not set up and you want them to be related to your character in some way.
Yeah.
But that's traditional movie telling. That's Hollywood for you. We don't need...
This is an independent film. It's not Hollywood. Really.
I was watching it saying to myself, when's the shoe going to drop? When are they going to release the information that... really, this has all been organized and this is related to something. And it never happens. And I was a little bit frustrated, but then I realized why. Why am I frustrated? There is no reason. And I realized not every movie, not every story has to have this grandiose, everything's connected. There's always a sinister intent. Sometimes, just like life, it's random. It's these people just saw an opportunity and took a kid. And it made me realize, movies back in the day, that was the story. They could have something simple like that. It doesn't have to be this villain's connected to the hero in these ways. It can just be they fucked with the wrong person and that's it. Isn't that great? I mean, we were talking about the movie Skyscraper a little earlier. People have condemned that movie for being a rip-off of Die Hard. Die Hard, they're just people who fuck with who fuck up. They don't have a connection to John McClane. They're not like people he's been investigating or something. They're just people who happen to just cross his path at the wrong time. That's this movie.
Yeah.
They just fucked with the wrong mum. And I like the fact that they don't have any weapons other than a knife. Like, they weren't prepared for
They
this,
later bring in a shotgun.
but
yeah.
that works because later in the movie
It's after
they
she
go-
loses them. They
yeah,
lose her.
and they go back to the house and come back.
Yeah.
But throughout this whole, I do like the fact that they've got this shitty car. They really haven't. I think just this is the first time that they've ever been
Oh, evidently, yeah.
tracked, ever been in trouble with
later,
a parent.
Later on, you find out there are two kidnappers, a man and a woman. They're a couple. Later on, the woman is on the phone with someone, and she's yelling on the phone about how, like, oh, this fucking mum keeps chasing us, and it's very evident that this has never happened before. Like, this is the most persistent chase I've ever been in.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
any.
Exactly. I mean, maybe they've been chased or had to deal with this in a way before, but not to this extent, because I think there's a scene later in which the kidnappers kind of have a negotiation with her. Kinda. They don't say anything. And she kind of agrees, the Halle Berry character kind of agrees to do certain things for them, like drive with one of the criminals, the kidnappers, and the kidnapper and the other kidnapper kind of have this, I guess, system where they drive through this tunnel, and then
this is the scene where the standoff happens.
yeah, and you ask yourself the question, where are the police during all of this? Well, some time early in the movie, she did get the police's attention by causing this traffic mayhem, but they pulled over the wrong red minivan, and that person got arrested.
I did like that touch of, like, yeah, she has to do a lot of desperate, rule-breaking things, but that does obviously get the attention of the police. It's not like they're dumb and, like, that's a plot hole that reviewers would be like, how did no one report this stuff? How did they not clue into it?
Exactly.
But then, and obviously,
Here we
this
are.
isn't happening because they've been clued in. She was indicating, like, acting crazy so they get their attention.
Exactly.
But yeah, later on, it becomes like a known thing.
I did like this little sequence here, which she's trying to get the policeman to help her, and he's not fully understanding what's going on, and he's just like, pull over. And I like that you see their car. You know, it's very well done. Their car's pulling over to the other side, and you're thinking, okay, what's going to go on here? Maybe they're letting the cop take care of her, but then, bam, they actually just like, nah, fuck this.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. It was good.
And I said to myself, again, I was very engaged with the movie. I was talking to the movie out loud. I said, Hallie, roll down your windows so we can get in. Like the policeman. Like he could, you know, if she rolled down her electronic windows, he could get in the car.
Yeah.
But instead he dies. Or at least I assume he does, because he gets... But this is a universe in which people, later on, a specific woman gets fucking decimated by a car, but then it's like, oh, my knee hurts. So
yeah, she was
this
very
is
clearly
a
alive.
universe in which people don't get killed by collisions.
Yeah, the way the movie treats this incident, the cop has died, but there's every possibility that he's just passed out.
Maybe there's like a deleted scene in which it's like him going, ow.
Deleted scene where he gets him, he's like, boy, that was a big pickle, and sitcom laughter.
Oh boy! And then the font comes up, Police Academy 7. This was my favorite scene in the movie, if I'm honest with you.
It was a tense scene, yeah.
It's tense and funny to me because it is this awkwardness in the air of they're not saying anything and they're like dumb and really scary at the same time. It's like he runs at her. It's like, of course he's going to get in her car and try and run you over.
You do get a sense of what this guy is like, even though he doesn't speak for like another almost hour.
I was surprised that, you know, we did see what he looked like 30 minutes in, and then you're just like, well, who's this then?
You did kind of see the back of him when they were putting the kid in the car, but...
Yeah, but it was a bit vague. Well, to be honest, I didn't know that until... I didn't notice that. I knew that, a woman's kidnapped the kid, because it was the woman putting the kid in the car. He was in the car already as the driver.
Well, they both kind of have longish hair, so I guess...
Yeah, it
I
was
could
the
have
woman, and it
misremembered.
makes sense because on the
We later learned...
walkie-talkie...
We later learned that a woman was the one that took the kid off the seat.
Yeah, so I thought, oh, a woman's kidnapped, and I said, oh, it's the new mum figure that the husband's dating. That's what I said to myself, like, that or it's that
Alright.
bitchy Tara Reid woman from the diner. I honestly was like, is Tara Reid woman the one doing this?
I
'Cause
guess-
she said, like, you need more fat on your thighs.
I-
To her, and she's like, that woman's kid is mine!
I guess the fact that I saw the back of the woman gave me a clue, like, oh, we haven't really seen any, like,
Big,
person that looks like this yet.
any redneck, big women, yeah.
But then I still had that idea of, like, oh, they were hired, so who's the mastermind?
And they
here?
were hired, so...
Are they hired, or they just...
Yeah, they're hired.
Or they just find people and sell them to the bosses or whatever?
I think they're hired to be kidnappers because...
Yeah, but not, like, specifically, like, there's this kid.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I think they just kidnap kids.
Just opportunities.
They are hired kidnappers,
Yes. And
but
they-
not for specific
And they
targets.
do a very smart thing of kidnapping kids from very far away from where they live.
Yes. Yes, they do.
Yeah.
They live very far away. Yeah, I like the sequence in which she's trying to negotiate with a kidnapper about what to do, and he's just not responding. And you don't know if he's going to go after her. You don't know what's going to happen. He gets back in the car, and then, it plays out unexpectedly, in which the second person, the woman, comes out, and she's just very frank with her. She goes like, let me in your car, woman, or else the kid dies. We want 10 grand. And I'm just like, okay.
So that brings up the question, like, if she's not lying, then that means they're really just in this for money. Does that
Yeah.
mean that they're being paid to do this, or they're just... I mean, it does work with the child trafficking thing, but you do find out eventually that, it's a trick.
Yeah, it's a trick.
Trap, or rather.
A tricky trap. So, yeah, because later on, she drives with the female kidnapper in the back of the van, and they wait till she's in the tunnel, and the female kidnapper's like, you know what the best method of killing someone who's driving is? Choke them from behind. They won't make the van move. But I felt like maybe they had done this situation before, because it seemed like they had set up this, like, okay, we're going to do it in the tunnel. Get rid of her in the tunnel. Because he had parked his car
Well, I mean, in this...
outside the tunnel area, and it seemed like this was like a little setup.
Well, they have time here. They're in the
to
car.
talk about it, yeah.
Yeah. So clearly it's like, this has never happened. What do we do? It's like, all right, drive this way, and then when you're in the tunnel, I'll deal with her so no one sees.
Classic.
And then that, bites her in the ass because he doesn't notice that she's been pushed out of the car.
That's so funny when she gets pushed out of the car.
That was like the one time that I laughed in this film. Like, that was great.
When they push a big redneck lady out of the car.
Well, actually, it was when she put on her shirt and, like, indicated with her hand. That made me laugh. I'm like, oh, it worked.
Again,
I really like that.
you know what I love? Later on, the guy figures out it's not her because the van gets too close, but I just went, wouldn't it be great if we cut, because we never cut into their car. We only see their car from her perspective. I went, wouldn't it be weird if we cut to his car and you just hear his phone ring and he's like, hello, and she's like, bitch, dump me out of the van. It's her behind you. Because just because Hallie doesn't have a phone doesn't mean they don't have phones.
Yeah.
But it's okay because...
Maybe her phone was in the jacket that she left in the car.
That's what I said to myself, that Hallie puts on.
I actually didn't consider that, but yeah, evidently that must have been the case. Or she didn't have a phone. Or maybe she dropped it while she was kidnapping the kid.
I think it's in the jacket, or she doesn't have it because, like I said, he determines it's Hallie by her getting too close and saying, oh, it's a black woman.
Oh, it's not my woman.
Yeah, it's not my blonde-haired, big hillbilly wife. It's Halle Berry, one of the most attractive women ever. So it's like...
Oh, it's my favorite actress.
Michelle Pfeiffer. And wouldn't it be great if this movie was just a sequel to Grease 2? In which it's the exact same movie, but for no reason Michelle Pfeiffer's in it and there's musical numbers. I think this film would be appreciated if it was Grease 3.
It'd be a distant sequel because it's like 50 years.
50 years?
Yeah, I had that thought just now. Because 60s and this is the 2010s, I assume.
Oh, you mean set, right? Not when the films were made.
No, the settings.
Yeah, they'll be very well, but that'll be fine because Michelle Pfeiffer's older now. You can age her up a little to make her look a lot older, like she's like 80, and she's
Well, if you add 50 years to a teenager, then it'll be 60s.
60s. Well, then that's fine. That's fine. So she can be like, "It's me. I'm a cool rider, kidnapping your kid, Hallie." And Hallie's like, "No."
How old do you think this woman is?
I don't know. She's just a funny-looking woman, isn't she?
Yeah. I'm guessing like maybe
50s.
Yeah, late 40s, 50s.
She's a very interesting-looking. She's like Hallie said. They're the perfect kidnappers. They really are. They look exactly what you want them to look like. You know, if they're not, hired by the husband or something, they're randoms. You want them to look like this.
Or if they're like undercover agents. It's like, yeah, you wouldn't think that we're agents.
I would love it if they were FBI agents.
But those are their real voices.
Those are their real voices. Well, what? They can come from the South.
I'm FBI.
FBI stands for Federal Bureau of Indicating that you should get off the road.
No, it's Federal Bartek of India.
That's an old joke.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, wow, that's a blast from the past.
Yeah, that was some action film we did. I can't remember which one.
So many.
Yeah.
It wasn't Bringing Down the House.
I remember it was I said that joke when they were in a warehouse of some sort.
Boy Next Door.
I can't remember.
So, this is I'm going to try and kill you, but again, Hallie knows how to drive and use this van. She pushes on the brake, it makes her propel forward, she tears off the jacket and stops her vision and movement. She knows how to use a van, is what I'm saying. Halle Berry knows how to use vans. And it's very impressive. I was so impressed.
I wonder if there was any... it's an independent film, but training...
Well, I think they just said, "Hey, Hallie, you drive a van, right?" And she's like, "That's how I got here." And they're like, "Damn, Hallie." And then that was the movie.
Coincidentally, in the script, we have the mother driving a
No,
SUV
actually,
minivan.
in the original, it was just a motorbike. But then they went, "Yeah, what? Make it a van."
Hallie, we really thought that you would have a motorbike.
She's like, not now. I'm a mum now."
And then they realized, you know what? It was kind of dumb to have like a child seat on a motorbike. Minivan makes more sense.
Yeah, on the front of the bike.
Kind of like how the bicycles that have like the little basket at the front.
Yeah. I've seen one of those recently where it's like a little bicycle at the front, the bicycle with a little thing at the front for the baby, but it has like this giant like plastic shield in front to block the wind.
Not like a windshield or something?
A windshield for their baby on their bicycle.
Yeah, for the wind and the locusts.
Oh, those kids are always suffering from the locusts.
Yeah.
Man, when I was a kid, I had so many locusts just up in my face when I was riding on a bicycle in the front.
I live in the suburbs, so I didn't.
Locusts aren't in the suburbs? Are you crazy?
No, I'm being considerate because it's like, even though it's not in my experience, I know that some people have to deal with locusts, so I brought it up.
Bartek, have you been kidnapped?
I've been a kid. I've napped, but I haven't been kidnapped.
Have you ever been in a dangerous situation when you were a child? It's okay to say yes, Ryan.
Not too sure. I mean, I've been pushed off a playground and I broke my arm, but
Who did that?
some kid.
What was his name? Or her? I don't want to judge.
That's a really good question because, when you're in, I know that
How old were you?
This was prep, so 6.
6.
Yeah.
And the same age kid did it, or were they younger or older?
I think I was told that it was a same age kid.
Okay.
It's weird. Usually you remember everyone in your year level, but I do not know, and I never knew who did it, even though it's not like they ran away or anything.
They in fact stood on your arm while it was broken, saying, "It is I."
I have no idea who did. I remember a few years later, I asked someone hey, do you know who pushed me? And they mentioned someone I'd never heard of before.
Yeah, from different school. But, yeah.
This was at my primary
school?
Yeah, during school time.
Maybe they transferred out.
I have no idea.
Because they broke your arm.
It's one of my life's biggest mysteries that I've never really thought about.
Let's solve the mystery of Bartek's broken arm
Let's
in the
go.
episode Kidnap.
Well, it's only been 19 years. Nothing like vanishes, right?
No.
Renovations don't change the scene, right?
We can still find that kid. He's grown up now. He could be out there breaking people's arms, pushing them off.
He could
of
be a
things.
terrorist leader for all
What
I
did he
know.
push you off of?
It was on the playground. You know the bars that you like, the poles that you like slide down.
Yeah.
It was one of those, and it wasn't too high, but I guess
You
I was
fell-
caught off guard.
And you were littler, so
Yeah, and I was learning English, so that probably didn't help.
he went. You speak English, and you were like, no, and then he pushed you.
Yeah, my lack of English skills is what really hurt.
You were like, Ubi Gooby Kwanja, and then he pushed you.
It's like, speak English.
Ubi Gooby Kwanja, and you're like,
Yeah.
no.
And I wouldn't have known what racism was then, so I could have just been like, what?
I'm really bad. Of course, I don't know how to speak Polish, but I was thinking about one of the titles of the movies that you said way back when, and it sounded something like what I just said.
Scooby-Doo 2, Potwory na gigancie.
No, I think it's what was Big Fat Liars one?
Duży gruby kłamców?
That's what I was trying to say just then. Doobie, but I went Ubi Gooby Kwanji.
Well, that's impressive that you remember episode 1.
Well, you said it a lot. Oh no, the kid. Yeah, that's one of the things too in Kidnap is the kid is in danger and they can use that against her to make her stop.
Yeah. Which later on, that's when she starts ramming, like, oh, I see what you're gonna do.
She does a lot of jazz hand acting in this movie. A lot of arm extended, hand shaking, going, stay there, or hide, or no.
And for the people that are either not watching the film or this is the first time they're watching, at this point, finally, is where she actually loses them. So consider when we started talking about the chase beginning to where we are now.
Yeah, we're like 46 minutes in.
Yeah, so I was wrong about an hour, but that's a very long sequence of, it was multiple scenes, obviously, and multiple things happen, but that's how long the chase goes for.
Exactly. It was really bold of them. Did
And
she think that this kid was her kid?
I think it started off like that, but as soon as she realized it wasn't, she's like, okay, that's not my kid, but I have their attention, so let's... It's like she's really working on her instincts. She doesn't dwell on, like, oh, I made a mistake.
I like the fact that, this kid's just hanging out with some old white guy with a mustache. Who is he? His dad?
Yeah, it could be like a mixed race.
A biracial?
couple,
I mean,
yeah.
why not?
Yeah, why not?
Could be.
It's progressive.
Yeah, progressive.
This was filmed in 2014.
It was very progressive back then. Trump wasn't president yet. So
Yeah, he wasn't.
it was Obama.
It was
so
middle
he
of
was
Obama's second term, yeah.
And Obama's
Obama.
isn't he biracial too?
He is.
There you go.
His mum is very white.
I think Halle Berry is as well.
She looks it, yeah.
Yeah, she looks it. Light skinned.
Yeah.
Look at these eyes. She's looking and we're looking too, Halle. So back to Bartek's broken arm.
Yes.
So a kid broke your arm. That was the most dangerous thing you got into as a kid, was someone else breaking your arm. Was that the only thing you broke, limb-wise, as a kid?
Yeah.
Only which arm?
Let me think about it. I think it was my...
Come on.
I can't remember which one it was. I'm pretty sure I was able to write, so maybe it was my left arm.
Man, that explains.
But I feel like it might have been my... I can't remember. I think it was right, but my hand was fine.
Your hand was fine. You broke the femur.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm not a doctor. So I'm an investigator of breaking of arms of 6-year-old Bartek. That's right. So was it a white kid? Was it a biracial kid? Was it suspiciously enough an alien? They were like, you don't speak English.
I think
a green
the
kid. Was it a green kid?
The only thing I remember is it was a school where they had like the whole sun smart system, so we had to wear hats during the summer months. He had an older type of a school hat where it was a cap, but it also had like a flappy thing at the back.
Oh yeah. I usually associate those hats with the dumb kids.
Those
Okay.
weren't really. I don't think those were really being sold at like the school uniform shop. I think it might have been
Oh
like
my God.
I think those were
hand me down.
Yeah, hand me down from maybe. An
Or
older
you're
brother.
misremembering and he was 12 years old and he just pushed you. He was an
Man,
older kid.
Year 6 that really wanted to go down the pole.
Yeah.
This little prep kid was...
You were just taking too long, and he just wanted to go.
I'm pretty sure we're all in a line. It's like, all right, your turn, my turn, and I got pushed. I don't know.
I like how you kind of are defending this guy.
I'm not defending him.
You're like, well, we're all in a line. We're just all waiting, and then he pushed me. It's just so nonchalant. If it was me, I'd still be like, that guy, that dickhead pushed me. You're very, you've accepted it happened.
It's a very long time ago, and I don't know anything about it.
I mean, I've never broken a bone in my body. I can't attest to the amount of forgiveness one would have afterwards.
It's because I don't know much... I don't know anything about them except that they had a
Did your bone pierce through your skin?
No. It's just broken. It wasn't, tearing my flesh or anything.
I wish it did. I've never...
Ryan, were you the one that pushed me?
It was me! That's why you didn't know who it was. And that's why we have a strained relationship.
The kid later moved to New South Wales.
And it's weird because
this racist kid got sent to the racist
It's
town.
weird because he pushed me because I spoke Polish and he didn't know how. Maybe that's somehow rippled into the show.
But there was another kid in my class who spoke Polish, but he was better at English at that point.
Was he also Polish?
Yes.
Twist. He was.
I went to kindergarten with him. He was my friend.
Wouldn't it be a twist? No, he was actually Portuguese.
His name is Dominik Czuprinski.
Oh, that's a great name.
Mm.
You would have learned something great. This is completely unrelated to the movie, but my fiance, she was telling me about a guy at work that she works with whose name is Mario.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, when you hear Mario, you think of...
Mario Lopez, yeah.
Yeah, you think of Mario Lopez. Or you go, it's me, Mario, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Bartek. His last name is De Silvia.
De Silvia?
Yeah.
Okay.
De Silvia. What nationality do you think Mario De Silvia is?
I knew a guy whose last name was Da Silva, and he had some Portuguese in his background, so I'm gonna guess Portuguese.
No, Indian.
I had a friend whose last name was D''Silva, and he was Indian.
Oh, there you go. Maybe there's an apostrophe there.
Yeah.
But I did not expect a guy called Mario to be Indian, and I just have been thinking about that every day of my life now.
My head went to the wrong De Silva that I went to school with, yeah.
Maybe this is him, and he's grown up to be a teacher.
No, that
who's
guy's...
30...
No, that guy's name was Chris.
Maybe it's his dad.
No, his dad's name was something a lot more...
Mario?
A lot more white. Denzel, I think.
Denzel.
I said white, but then you think Denzel Washington, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot more white. Denzel.
And then I said Denzel, and I'm like, oh, wait. But when you think of Denzel, you think of a certain black actor, so I guess I'm wrong about that.
I like how you say Denzel and I say Denzel. I think it's Denzel, isn't it?
Well, this guy was Denzel.
Denzel? What's the difference? What's the spelling difference?
I don't know. I think they're spelt the same, but just different.
Denzel.
Yeah.
Not Denzi?
I don't know what his nickname is.
Denzel. It's the most white name you could think of. It's right up there with Tobias. So, classic Bartek. Setting up something there. Now, this is a great scene here, in which they set up the reason for why she keeps going after she's gone to the police station, which is she sees the posters of missing children, and it's like, shit, they waited too, and nothing ever happened. I was really after this. I thought the police were in on it. For some reason, I thought when she was on the phone to them and later in the movie, and it felt like, why are they here yet? I thought, are they in on it? Like, look at this. I thought with her, like, she's just very nonchalant, like, it's like, did she really phone anyone?
I didn't, but her whole thing about they waited made me think, like, does she think that?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
I thought
confusing.
she meant when she said they waited was like they waited and nothing happened either. So I'm not going to do that.
I think maybe because I wasn't watching it with subtitles, I didn't hear exactly what she said. It's like, they waited. And I'm like, they what?
They waited.
Is she paranoid?
I love this old-fashioned, like, soda shop guy who's just, like, sweeping, and he just gives this real kind of Zach Braff expression, just like,
If that guy had dialogue, I wish it was, like, very, like, 50s sounding dialogue. Yeah.
And he's, like, flipping a coin while he's talking to her. A dime.
Well, golly, pretty miss, what do you want?
That's exactly what he would say. Golly, miss.
Golly, miss, you're my favorite actress from X-Men.
Well, yeah, but if he was really from the 50s, he wouldn't allow her in the soda shop at the same time as white people.
Golly, miss, you're my favourite mysteries, whatever George McFly watched in Back to the Future.
Well, I don't remember. I don't know I can't remember.
The reason why Marty got his dad to work with him is because he pretended to be, I think it was Dark Vader from the planet Vulcan, because he heard that his dad liked some sci-fi show.
Classic.
I wanted to say Mystery Science Theater, but that doesn't sound right.
That's not right. That's a different show altogether.
Yeah.
That's the show. Yeah, that's a different show, Bartek. They wish they were as good as us. Those Mystery Science Theater 3000 boys.
Oh, what do you guys do? You watch the film and you make jokes while things happen? Why don't you discuss them?
Yeah, why don't you talk about the brilliance of this car hitting into this van, and we see he's got sunglasses now.
I like sunglasses.
Baby on board is a sticker that she has on her car, and it's quite interesting because when I think baby on board, I think of The Simpsons. You know, what? Hold on, the car just went from 40 to 60. Whoa, that's pretty impressive.
No, well, they're miles per hour, not kilometers.
Oh, is that okay?
That's even faster.
It's even faster.
Yeah.
Oh, it was miles per hour. Cool. I didn't look hard enough at the gauge.
I didn't look either, but I just made an assumption. I just hope I'm right.
You could be wrong.
Yes, but I could be right.
You might be right. They are American. They don't appreciate the metric system. That's not part of the metric system. Is it?
No. Well, kilometers has meter in it.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Hey, America, why are you so against it? You know, isn't it like pretty much everyone else in the world uses it except for America, basically?
Because freedom.
Because freedom means nothing to me unless I'm free. It's okay, guys. The woman only hurt her knee. See? She's fine. Some might have said, Ryan, that shot clearly showed her head smacking on the ground, but no, it's her knee.
But then as the camera panned up, she died off frame.
That would be brilliant.
And then the cop wakes up and it's like, we traded lives.
The cop. Yeah, the cop. For some reason, it's the cop at the station. Not the cop on the bike.
So she got 2 lives.
That's why she looks so great.
She's like, now I have more time to wait.
Yeah. You taught me a lesson there, Bartek, that is what she would be saying.
I taught you a lesson, but it's not the mean kind.
So Bartek, having not seen the movie and having a different perception of what the movie was going to be for a little bit, what?
Your subtitles translated the sign into German.
Why not?
Well, I mean, for the German
was
viewers,
it German or did it just say Volvo, which is
no?
German?
It was like Gestalt something.
Gustunk, no.
And it wasn't like the sub. It was like card encoded into the film.
Maybe she was saying that. I can't remember. Maybe she was like Gustunk, no. That was German.
Yeah, it was like in Bewitched, where there was German subtitles German text on billboards and stuff.
Yeah, Bewitched. What a classic movie that raises...
Guestless episode?
What I was going to say, but I will ask in a moment, because something important has come up, which is gas, man. She's running out of gas.
Oh, I thought you were going to tie it to Bewitched.
Oh. I thought you were going to be like, whoa, don't tie it into Nazis, gas. They love it. So,
It's also an old joke.
That's an oldie, but a goodie. It was Germans, they love gas. No, she runs out of gas, which is great because, this is a movie in which a car is being used. She could overheat it, she could break down, but they go with the she runs out of gas approach.
Yeah, and since this is still all the same day, that means that she must have been running a bit low from the beginning, I guess. I just thought of that now. I guess,
and since he's swapped cars, he also doesn't have to worry about the gas problem because he swapped cars.
He potentially got a little boost.
A boosty!
Yeah.
So what I was going to say about it was, having not seen or heard of the movie, and you did mention that you had a slightly different expectations of how things were going to play out, and eventually you figured out it was going to be...
By this point I knew it was something,
a pure car chase. What were you expecting to happen from here? Like, what was your idea of the conclusion to this?
Well, at this point we did learn that the gas was running out, but it's also the same point where she starts getting a bit more aggressive. So it gave me this whole sense of like, you're it's a bit too late to be, kind of doing this. Or if you've been doing this the whole time, maybe something better would have happened.
Well, I think she is only aggressive because the petrol's running out.
Yeah.
I think she's like, last thing I can do.
Yeah.
It's the thing that she would prefer not to do, but I think it's like, shit, this is what I have to do.
Yeah, and at that point, well, I was talking just then, she hadn't rammed into him yet. So I was really confused as to why he was swerving. It's like, she's not trying to overtake you. What are you doing?
Yeah, but he is trying to stop her. I understand why he's doing that, because it's just throwing her off her ability to come at him. I do love that we do get the fuck you from her moment, where she's like, fuck you, and rams into it. It's just so satisfying in movies like this when a character gets to have that. But what was your idea of where things were going to go from at the end? What was your idea of how the movie was going to conclude?
Continue from the car no longer moving.
Yeah, and just a conclusion in general.
Well, jumping ahead a minute or two, she gets into the car that she passed a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
So obviously that gave me this idea of like, okay, well now she's kind of got a buddy and he's got a phone.
Yep.
But then I got a very big surprise. Not as big as their surprise.
It was a huge surprise for me. I clapped when it happened. I clapped because of the sheer surprise factor and audacity.
I'm sure that when I was watching it, I might have given an out loud, "Oh shit!"
I legit was like, yeah, clapping. I was just clapping like this was unexpected in a good way because, because you're going to see it on screen in a moment. For those not watching, it is basically she gets an ally, an old man driving,
and while they're not introducing, but while they're establishing all right, you need to drive this way. Yeah, I've got a phone, but this is a dead end. It's like a conversation is happening, and we're gonna learn something. So we're expecting this this is just a conversation sequence.
No. The car comes back, and this makes sense, oddly enough, because earlier in the film, we talked about it. They set up the fact that this guy isn't afraid of ramming back in a dirty way with the policeman. We didn't expect that. This is the same, where he comes back and just headfirst plows into them. I thought that was brilliant.
I guess watching it again now, the whole idea of dead end, it's like, but wait, what's he doing? Why would he be continuing going that way? Could that mean that he's coming back?
Exactly.
But I guess it happens so quickly that you didn't really have time to consider that.
You didn't have
I only just thought of that now, literally now.
Well, it's that his house is there.
Yeah, maybe.
But it is, because she does the GPS, is 2 miles that direction. So he went to his house, got the gun, dropped the kid off, and came back, because the kid's not in the car.
Maybe this film's unappreciated because the people that watched it didn't put that all together. Like, what did the dead end mean? I never learned. I never got a clue.
Is death there? Why is it ending?
It is for someone.
Yeah, old man.
Oh, well, 2 people, actually.
Yeah, old man.
Well, I mean, people, one's a dog, but yeah.
One's a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, yes.
I'm saying the woman and the dog.
Yeah, I saw...
Yeah.
The dog's fine.
No, it gets shot.
Does it?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that. I noticed...
To be fair, I think a YouTube comment was the same as you. They didn't notice it. When...
I was too busy later on in the movie, Halle Berry does a trick against the redneck woman who's on a pier, I guess.
Yeah, she trips the woman, and as she's falling, the gun fires and you hear the dog yell.
I didn't notice. I didn't connect that. Okay. Fair enough. Because a part of me was like, that dog's going to fuck him up when they get out of the water.
Oh, well, what I was saying earlier, this film, I did feel like a bloodlust in the sense of, I'm okay with you killing. When the dog was running up to them here, I was just thinking to myself, I wish she had the knife on her so she could just stab it and get rid of it.
Wow, you were like that.
Yeah, I was just like, look, she's got enough to deal with, just kill the fucker.
You know what's great? Usually I'm the one that would say that, and you'd be like, Ryan...
No, this film really made me think, you know what, you've been through shit, these people are
Kill the dog.
irredeemable, this dog's with them.
With them? You know what I thought was going to happen? I thought this would be a great little comedy moment where the dog runs at her, and she just kind of, I had two thoughts. She does the Matrix bend backwards and it just jumps over her into the water. Or I thought this one was good. She lets the dog run and propel at her, and while it's jumping at her, she grabs the dog while it's in motion and throws it behind her into the water. And I thought that would have been great.
Yes, but the twist is it never enters the water.
No, it does not. I didn't know.
It dies on the earth it stood on.
This was such a satisfying little sequence of action.
To bring in video games again, this shot right here,
Yeah.
it looked like he was clipping into the car, like a video game, like you would go through a wall.
Yeah.
So I was like, what the fuck am I... This is a live action film. What am I looking at?
But then you figure
But then I realized, like, it's a sliding door. And
which you had already used.
Yeah, and from that angle, it just looks like it's closed. So I'm like, what's this glitch?
In a
live action film without,
special effects heavy.
Without really any CGI. Well, maybe there's something, but
yeah. Well, minor special effects, I would imagine. But that was such a satisfying little action sequence there, where she's fighting using the seats and the belts and the door, and he's failing being able to shoot her. And
she fights both the kidnappers in the car.
And I do like the fact that they do the good thing of letting the audience know, but not too overtly, that she doesn't have any shells in the gun. Because he loads the shell, only one shell in before he gets in, because he's like, I'm out of shells. But then he finds one, he loads one in, and he shoots it whilst fighting her. So when she grabs it, and she goes to the house, it wouldn't have served her any purpose because it's empty.
Yeah.
And they didn't make that an overt thing. It's like she opens and goes, oh, right, and then kind of tries to look and then doesn't find it, and she goes, knife instead.
Yeah, but unfortunately it does lead to her forgetting about it and pretty much giving it to the
bad guy, yeah, who does have bullets.
And the only thing that gets killed by it is the dog.
Terrence Vicky. His last name is also a woman's first name. There you go. Vicky is a nickname for Victoria. Or Victor. Don't want to judge. Maybe there's a guy out there called Vicky. I do love the fact that if there was ever a time for a movie to be an advertisement for a van, this is the movie, but it isn't.
It made me think of The Last Stand, which that had a really prominent car. This is like Arnold Schwarzenegger film from a few years ago.
The one where he's a police sheriff?
Yeah.
I know of it. We should do it on the show.
Yeah, I saw it with Reese in the cinema.
Wasn't it the one where it was his return?
Yeah.
That's why you saw it?
I think so. It was alright, but the car that the villain drove was like very prominent. It was very obvious that car was being like advertised. They could have done this for this film.
But they didn't. It didn't seem show-offy. I don't even know what kind of car it is. I think it's just, like, this is a great van. And I love this. I wrote it down in my notes. I love she gives it a little pat, like, you did good. Look at this. You did good.
It gives you an idea of, like, this is the iconic car of the film.
And now she has to part with it. Because usually in movies like this, even like a Mad Max or something, at one point the car does give out and they have to separate from it and be like, oh, you did good. But now it's up to me.
It's kind of like in Blues Brothers, yeah. You've served your purpose and the car really breaks down.
It explodes, yeah. It falls apart, like apart. A cartoon.
A very funny falling apart, yeah.
Funny falling apart, like
they give like a little moment of silence even though they're in a hurry.
Yeah, exactly. It just falls apart like crazy.
Is this the woods that we saw right after the baby montage?
Yes.
It looks like that shot, but in reverse.
Yeah, at night. It's foreshadowing from earlier in the movie because it's like this is where the action's going to take place later.
I did find that shot memorable, even though it didn't really serve anything because we cut to a diner.
Well, then it's a foreshadowing shot.
Yeah, but I remembered it, so
it's stuck out.
I don't know what the film did, but it did it well.
Foreshadowing.
I remember at this point I had to pause the film to do something in another room. I noticed there was like half an hour left. I'm like, what? Let's see what happens in the last third of the film.
Now, I am just going to jump ahead.
That's fine.
This movie has an ending that I call the Boy Next Door ending, in which, spoiler for the Boy Next Door as well, in which she subdues all the bad guys through murder, and then police come. End movie.
No fire, though.
No fire.
Apart from the firing of a gun on a dog, but yeah.
Yes. Apart from her being fired from the diner. Imagine that. Like, you're fired! You murdered people! And she's like, oh boy!
Yeah, but you said I'm a hero.
News did say she was a hero, which also, what I did write notes for this, and when the news ended, I had to cross out a certain note, which was I was being funny for myself, which was,
obviously.
After she brutally, because, spoiler alert, she brutally and slowly drowns the female kidnapper in front of her kid. I wrote in my notes, oh, she gets full custody, right?
Well, you don't...
And then at the end of the movie, where it's like, she's the biggest hero ever, I crossed that out because I went, the movie is indicating that she would get custody. Not maybe full, but she would.
Your home isn't as nice as your ex-husband's. You don't earn as much money, but you do have the title of hero.
You did murder 3 people, so...
But
yep.
But you weren't the one that murdered the dog, I guess.
She didn't kill a dog, and that's good.
But it did deserve to die.
Ryan, like, I just imagine that, like, there's an alternative universe version of this podcast called The Good Timeline.
Need I remind you that I am evil?
Evil Bartek.
Boss
Bartek.
But this is my good time. I'm not working.
You would be the one being like, Ryan.
Evil boss friend, sorry.
Although you are a cat man. You
I
like
am.
cats way more than dogs. So it's not really that unexpected that you want the dog to die. If it was an evil cat...
Well, I don't hate dogs.
Yeah, but it's not unexpected.
I didn't
in comparison to if it was a cat in a movie.
I mean, I'm fine with seeing animals die in films. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh no, it died, I'm so sad.
Tell that to Bartek in the episode Sleepwalkers. You did not like cats getting hurt in that one.
Yeah, in retrospect, I don't care. I didn't really mention it, but when we did the 201 and 102 Dalmatian films, despite being a cat person, I really loved the dogs there.
Yeah, they're dead now. So
that's fine.
That's fine. I wear them.
That's life, Ryan.
That's life.
Sometimes you die of old age. Sometimes you die because you fucked with the wrong
You
one.
know that's one of In the Room. That's one of Greg Sestero's favorite lines. Is that's life. When the underwear guy is telling the underwear story, and he just puts his hand on his shoulder and goes, "That's life." Like, what does that mean? Yeah.
Me underwears, that's life.
Me underwears, that's life. Yeah, she grabbed me underwears, that's life. I think he said, randomly, this is an aside, I just watched an interview with Greg Sestero talking about what his favorite quote was.
Yeah.
And he said, like, one that he thinks is really undervalued was, I'm just trying to remember, because he was like, one where it's like listing 8 of his favorite ones.
Yeah.
He didn't have "Oh Hi Mark." He had "What a Story, Mark" as one of his favorites.
I like that one.
He was talking about, like, one of the ones that he thought was undervalued was the psychologist friend being like, "People are people." That's great fucking advice. You idiot.
To be fair, that is an undervalued character, I reckon.
Yeah, he thought, like, the whole underwear scene of that, well, that's life, is very undervalued. But I can't remember, now I'm forgetting what his most favorite one was, but it was one of those ones where it's like, oh yeah, that's an interesting one, where it's just like, one of these weird Tommy Wiseau lines. I can't remember, but she's got a shotgun now, and she's trying to load it, but then she forgets about...
I like how you said she has a shotgun now in the part where she puts it away.
In the part where when I said she was loading it, so now she doesn't have a shotgun now, bye! I love how, she opens the door and the dog's just like, I'm ready.
We do learn later on that she was looking through the cupboard there. That is where the bullets were, so if she looked a bit harder, she would have...
Yeah, but there was a dog there, Bartek, and you know how scary dogs are. You know, you can't drop them like you can cats.
Dogs are scary. 101 Dalmatians scared me.
Dude, we did a whole month that was terrifying.
I know, and you weren't there for part of it.
I was so scared.
I know, that's why I was scared.
You were scared because you did it by yourself?
Yeah, I was scared because I had a replacement host. You didn't know my
that's
fears.
what I'm talking about, big boy. Damn it, Gene.
For those of you that listened to last week's episode, I showed Ryan the Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel video I mentioned at the end, and Ryan thought it was better than how I described it.
It was.
He even shared it on our Twitter page.
Because the line, that's what I'm talking about, big boy.
We're not talking about that, Gene. That's what I'm talking about, big boy.
Before we started this episode, I did consult RogerEbert.com and their thoughts on the movie,
Yep.
and they liked it.
That's good.
Which is weird, because I don't think the real Roger Ebert, when he was alive, would have liked this movie, considering he didn't like Baby's Day Out, and he didn't like Flipper, and he didn't like all of these great unappreciated masterpieces.
I can see him not hating this as much as Baby's Day Out, because you don't really see the kid, like, being in danger. He's just with dangerous people. I guess when he's, like, being dangled out of the car.
I rewatched some of their reviews, because hearing them from you is always interesting, but I'm like, I want to hear them from their own mouth, and I love in the Flipper review, I don't think we mentioned this in the episode, but Gene Siskel gives the movie bad rating because they didn't teach kids about the beauty of dolphins. Like, why can't they write a movie in which they teach kids about how beautiful dolphins are? And then he just went, I know this because I recently went on a holiday.
Okay, look, Gene Siskel, naughty, but that's cute.
That's not the funnier part.
Yeah.
He goes, without any pretense, like, he just says out of nowhere, like, Roger's like, well, that's great, Gene, like, talking about how he got to swim with dolphins and pat them and play with them. He goes, well, that's great, Gene, and he just goes, they have pure, silky power.
Well, that's what he's talking about, big boy.
Pure silky power. What a weird describing term for dolphins. Just weird. But do you know what this movie isn't? Weird. It's straightforward. I think this is probably one of the most straightforward movies we've done. This doesn't... Some people might say, well, you know, straightforward. There's no twists. There's no turns. It's just very straightforward. And you know what? That's good, because sometimes we need that. Like, this... I'm not saying that this is as good as Mad Max Fury Road, because it's better.
Yeah.
But think about Mad Max Fury Road. Bartek, have you seen Mad Max Fury Road?
Saw that in Poland, yeah.
In the cinema?
Yep.
Now, you remember, I think most people would remember, how huge that movie was when it came out. How big of a reception it received.
That's the only reason I saw it, because I heard it was good.
And I think one of the tricks that movie had on its side was the sheer straightforwardness of it. People are so used to twists and turns and cinematic world building and how's this going to play out. But like Mad Max, like Kidnap, very straightforward. All Mad Max movies have been very straightforward, except for Thunderdome, probably. That's probably the most kind of weird one. Yeah, but I like Thunderdome. But I like all the Mad Max movies. But yeah, this is like Mad Max, where Fury Road, where it's just straightforward. It's just her on one mission.
Yep.
There's no real twists. There's no real turns. It's just very straightforward, but it's so exhilarating. Like, when she murders people in this, oh, the bloodlust. Oh, that bloodlust was just so strong.
Yeah, it's because they wait a long time. Like, yeah, just almost like 40 minutes were left in the film, and the first death happened.
And it was so good.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just getting bloodlust right now, thinking about how she drowns a woman. It was so weird, and I went, oh, because I said this before, she kills 3 people in this movie, and you're like, wait, right, aren't there 2 kidnappers? Well, no, dum-dum. There's a middleman. There's a third guy who's in the movie that comes at the very end.
The guy she whacks with the shovel.
She whacks with a weird shovel that is shaped in a way to really fuck someone up. Did you notice that with the shovel? If you actually look at the spade of the shovel, it's like curved and like sharpened, so it cuts.
I do remember it looking unusual. I didn't really pay attention how, though.
Have a pay attention during the sequence here. It's going to be used in a little while, or it will be grabbed, but there was a moment here in the movie in which, I don't know if, again, you must have internally, where I threw my arms up in the air and went, no! When she puts the knife down. When she puts the knife down in this sequence here. Yeah. I went, no! But you know what? This movie does not fuck you over with this. Because you go, oh, she's going to come in and get her. No, they just go, Halle Berry just grabs a shovel, and I like that it didn't do that fucking horror movie, thriller twist thing in which she puts down the weapon, and then that's when she gets attacked conveniently.
Yeah.
I appreciated that so much.
There apart from, like, the jump scare car ramming thing, There isn't really any like surprises or surprise show ups. Like they hear footsteps, they hear car driving, they hear car pulling up. Like when she was in the house and the kidnapper was driving away, there was never a point where like, oh, she's pretending. But no, she actually leaves, but then she comes back and she notices when she comes back.
Yeah, I also really thought, like, when Halle Berry was on the phone, I thought, oh, the kidnapper's pretending that she's going away to get Halle because she's listening on the other end of the on the phone because, you hear Halle on the phone and you hear the beep, beep, beep,
Yeah,
beep.
that's right. That was a thing, yeah.
And, see, the shovel's weirdly shaped. She's using it, but, like, it's a weird sharpened shovel. I don't know what's going on. I'm not a shovel expert.
Maybe the soil is really thick in this
Yeah,
area.
maybe they use it to cut off people's heads. Children's,
Well, zombies, yeah.
zombies.
You don't know what happens out here.
Zombies? Yeah, but I like the fact that they didn't do. She was actually listening on the other end of the phone and realized Halle was in the house. No, they didn't. They don't do cheap tricks. Like there are surprises. Like it's mainly them crashing into a policeman or crashing into Halle, but those are really nice surprises and they're not cheap.
At least the policeman one, yeah, was set up. Like, oh, they were pulling over to the side. It's like, what are they doing? And it's like, oh, that's what they're doing.
Exactly. And then with the dead end one, it's kind of building up because like dead end. Wait, then where are they going?
Yeah,
Oh shit, they're coming back.
It's just very fast paced, so you might miss the foreshadowing.
Miss it. It's brilliant. So we're leading up to the sequence in which Bartek wants a dog to be murdered, and I agree, Bartek. You and I, same page. I like dog deaths.
Well,
I'm not squeamish. There's a side in which it's like, does the dog die or whatever?
Yeah, I think Luke mentioned it in one of the episodes he's been on.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo.
Scrappy. Well, no, Scrappy doesn't die, I guess.
No dog dies in Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, but it's just this whole thing of like, all right, there's only one kidnapper left to deal with. But then it's like, oh, and she has this extra sensory being with her. So it's like, oh, that's, it's going to detect you. So it's like, all right, that's another problem you have to deal with.
But they don't have to deal with it because Hillbilly Woman deals with it.
And it's clearly not a friendly dog, so,
No.
It's not like they can negotiate with it.
No, imagine. It would be great, though, if they tried to negotiate with the dog.
Will you leave me alone for a Scooby snack?
No. You don't have to scrote for this job. I still love the fact that in the first Scooby-Doo movie that Scrappy uses the word scrote. Brave filmmaking from the writer James Gunn.
So the dog's near its position where it dies, but not yet.
Okay, I need to watch this.
You don't really see it, and I guess with the sound muted, you might not hear it.
Yeah,
like
maybe
sound,
it's a sound kind of thing, but I just didn't connect that the dog had died.
Yeah, when the woman trips, the gun fires and it's aiming at the dog.
Okay,
so I guess
interesting. Oh yeah, I understand now. Like it didn't show it, but I understand it.
Yeah,
interesting. I did not know how this movie was going to end, to be honest. I didn't know. I went, okay, I guess once the first one died, I went, oh, I guess she's going to murder them? And then a third person comes along, and then I was like, whoa, I don't know what's happening. Is this really the neighbor guy? I assumed on a level it probably wasn't actually who he said he was going to be, but it was kind of like quick thinking on her part, where she's like, two kids? I didn't say whether they were girls, and I'm sitting there going, I didn't notice that. Man, if it was me, I'd be dead.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting there to be like last second introduction and then 30 seconds later twist.
Well, they did kind of hint at him because he was the guy on the phone.
Yeah.
But, like, I guess, does he live next door?
I mean, he was nearby.
He heard the gunshots.
Unless, like, she drove away, picked him up, and he stayed in the car during this whole part.
And he was just, like, watching it happen in the car, and he was just like, oh, well.
Ah, the dog's dead.
I do like the visual storytelling aspect of the hillbilly woman had seen the body of the husband, because when she's come back to the house, she's crying.
Yeah?
Yeah, she's got tears in her eyes, so she's figured out that the husband had died. She probably drove out there and found the wreckage and shit and was like, fuck, she killed my husband. And now
that means she had to go into the woods a bit then.
Yeah, but only a little bit, because it didn't go that far. And with the way it was reversed, you would tell that something went through there, through the foliage being disturbed. So, and the skid marks and all of that. So,
Well, that's a subtle touch I definitely didn't notice.
the film has subtle touches that Bartek didn't notice, but I did. But maybe
And the thing that you noticed was a little bit of a redeeming factor, I guess.
not redeeming, but just interesting factor of humanity there. Like she loved that guy, but it's it's something interesting, and you noticed things or picked up on things like the dog dying that I just thought was lazy filmmaking. At first I thought, I guess they just didn't want to deal with that problem, but then you pointed out, no, they dealt with that problem, but in a different way.
He gets picked off, just like Bane in that Batman film.
Better. Everything's better than Bane dying in that Batman movie. If you like The Dark Knight Rises, that's fine. But if you think the death of Bane, fuck you if you think that's a spoiler. If you think the death of Bane in that movie is good, the way it's done...
Which, just to remind you, he does die.
He does die. The way it's done in that movie is well done and good.
If it is...
Get out of this podcast now. I'm not happy with you.
If you think it is well done and good, then that means you at least noticed he died.
And are you happy? Look, I don't know how this is going to come across, but are you really a person that's happy with the fact that it's been a Bane versus Batman show and then Catwoman kills him? Bane, that is. Like, I wasn't. And it wasn't the fact that it was just her. It was just done. Don't get me started. I could do a whole podcast episode alone on the fact that the ending of The Dark Knight Rises is just so dumb beyond belief.
You know what I just...
From that point on, yeah?
A woman in this film gets hit by a pretty big car.
Yeah, but her knee's okay.
And she seems to be fine.
Yeah.
Didn't Bane get hit by a motorbike and that's what got him?
No, he got shot.
I thought he got ran into by a motorbike.
No, she rams her motorbike in, and her motorbike is like the Batman motorbike thing with the guns on the end.
Right.
And I think she just shoots him. And then he's gone. And I'm like, great. Brilliant. Yeah, I didn't really connect that, okay, this guy's going to be a third. I mean, I did on a level, but, it was an interesting little third act wrench, into the thing. Like, they threw a wrench into...
Yeah, in his dialogue, he mentioned twice that he knows there are two of them, and he just said, come on, girls.
Yeah.
Okay, so he did mention twice, like, come on, you two, come on, both of you.
Yeah, exactly. I never told you they were girls.
And then he'd be like, well, they're clearly girls.
Yeah, I
could see someone, like, talking their way out of it, but I guess he didn't think...
Yeah, he didn't think. He had a gun. Guns are the thinkers of America. Put that on the Statue of Liberty. Guns are the thinkers of America.
I can't remember if it was the IMDb trivia or something on TV shows, but I think somewhere mentioned... referred to this guy as the mastermind behind the trafficking.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's a middleman at least, because that's the one on the phone. And she's like, "You're just a middleman. You get your kids when we get $100,000." That was what she said. I did like the fact that this movie did not just overtly tell us everything. It was just like, there's a story going on in the background, and hey, isn't it neat that she broke up an international child kidnapping ring?
Or at the very least brought attention to it.
Well, no, she broke it up. They said the exact words.
Just 3 people? That was enough?
Yeah. They say it in the dialogue, and they saved all those missing kids. They're like, there was one found in London, Dubai, New York.
Oh, I thought they were just saying that that's where the children were sent to.
Yeah, and that's where they found them.
Okay, well, they were found.
I thought it was like, no, they saved the kids that were previously kidnapped, and they had been sent to those places.
Okay, I thought they were just listing like where the clients were and things like that.
Oh, right. No, I think it's like if you look at here, it's like, they find out the international ring and disband it, and because of her civilian pursuit of them, and it's like, that gives an extra level to why they would say she is such a hero, because it is not just the fact that,
break-up.
Yeah, arrests have been made. Arrests.
Oh, okay, arrests have been made. Okay, that's good. That's conclusive then.
Yeah, so, she is a hero, and she deserves to be a mum.
Yeah, and Great
movie.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, but I completely didn't assume that the third guy was actually killed. But it did say in the dialogue there that, 3
Well, she hit him in the head.
I just thought he was passed out.
Okay, fair enough. But they didn't say dog.
Well, he wasn't really a member of the ring. He was just a...
Wasn't he?
Well, not officially.
Wasn't he?
Was he in, like,
documents?
Do you
know if he was getting paid or not? He might have. He got paid with Scooby
Well, he
snacks.
clearly wasn't because the news report didn't mention it.
Oh, you're right. And the news
They didn't say
fabricates-
4.
You're right.
Unless the guy actually did only pass out and they were counting the dog as the third person.
Wouldn't that be great? I love the end credits in which it's just random photos of her and the kid hanging out, but then you have this song that's just like so empowering. It's just like,
It feels like a Rihanna song or something.
yeah, it's just like, I am a woman and I kill kidnappers.
Yeah, the pictures I found were really interesting because like
They feel real.
they weren't like flat images. Like they're like different layers of an image and they're like moving. It's not like zooming in on a still image.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It kind of... This film reminded me of a lot of other films we've done on the show, but in a good way. It had an unforgettable quality. It had a 9 Lives quality. It had...
Things that made you think.
Yeah.
Well, all of the films really do, but this one,
Every film. So, Bartek, the movie has ended. The credits are rolling. I think it's time for us to give our reviews and rating of the movie.
Yeah. I'll just say, I at one point I thought that these were like super slow motion, but then I realized, oh well, but the camera's kind of moving, and that's normal motion, so
There you go.
it couldn't be like short. And
Oh, did you think they weren't images, but it was just them standing still
because
and
like
moving?
because they're clearly on a different layer, so it's like, are they moving? It's like an illusion that they're moving in incredibly slow motion.
Get the fuck out of
Like,
my
are they slowly chewing in this shot? Like, what's going on?
Oh, okay. Wow, you really delved into
Well,
this.
the ultimate-
I just looked at it and went, oh, I get the effects.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting it. That's
I would
all.
love it if they were doing like the police squad ending in which they're standing very still and it's made to look like just like a photo, but they're actually just standing incredibly still. So, Bartek, I would love to hear from you first with the review and rating. Hit us.
Well, yes, because I haven't done enough talking this episode. You'd love to hear from me. So this is
Okay,
the time.
that was enough of that.
And,
So, no, let's hear the review and rating from the kid that broke Bartek's arm, Reese. Imagine if it was your good friend Reese who did it all along.
that was
The plottiest of
It
twists.
was like 11 years before I met him.
Well, that would be the bigger plot twist.
He went to primary school with our other recurring hosts, guests, Stefan Bradley and Nathan Malloy.
They all broke your arm.
But then all 3 went to different high schools.
And then they all broke your arm.
And then 2 of them went to the same second high school. And it was a reunion.
So hit us, Bartek, with a review and a rating.
Alright, get my shovel.
Ah, my brain! Stunt Family Dad? Apparently that's a character. Oh, go on.
Stunt Family Dad.
It's very different to Family Guy, I guess. Stunt Family Dad.
I'm really stuck on that now.
Yeah, think about that for the rest of the episode. Stunt Family Dad was apparently a character in the movie.
Was there a family of stunt people?
No.
Were there stunt people at, like, the fair?
No.
Okay. That was a pretty big cast list, considering the movie has few main characters.
Stunt Family Dad.
Yes, my favourite. If this was Mystery Box, he'd be the 4th person at the end.
Okay, go.
This was a really good movie that, for me, because I hadn't heard of it, just came out of nowhere. Happens a lot on this show, but this one, I feel like for a lot of people it would come out of nowhere. Because I remember when I was looking through the YouTube comments, and even just looking up the film on IMDb and on Google, the poster, being an independent film, didn't have an expansive one. It was just an image of Halle Berry, her name and the title of the film in it.
Yeah.
Doesn't really tell you what the film is. I guess if you had the extra information like, oh, this is a tough mum action film or thriller film, you know, that'll give you some idea. It almost sounds like a joke you'd hear in like a comedy film. Like, here's an action movie, but the main character is a mum who's been wronged. It's like, oh, what kind of gags are you gonna add to that, Trey Parker? But no, this is a...
I like how you said Trey Parker, but I thought Seth MacFarlane.
Well, I mean...
I think that would be below Trey.
Those
idea.
are 2 comparable shows, even though South Park has established they don't really like Family Guy.
Have they now?
They have. I've listened to the auto commentary. Yeah, so this is a film where if you put it that way, it does kind of sound like a comedy premise, but no, this, like Ryan has said twice this episode, it's played straight. Played very genuinely, very empathetically. Halle Berry is an actress who I know perfectly well what she looks like, what she's been in, but then I realized I haven't seen her in too much. And the few things I have seen her in, I don't really remember her parts in it that well. But now I've seen a film where, for most of it, she is the only thing in the frames.
Yeah.
This is a film that shows you, as she has stated in an interview, an average woman, nothing too special about her, just a waitress with a, child that she has dual custody of, being pushed by a conflict and having to resolve it on her instincts and her love alone, the mama bear kind of character. I think that this is a brilliant film. I think that all these parish sheriff officers should be proud to be thanked by this film.
Good job, guys. I mean, the film kind of showed that you're not very good at finding kids, but whatever.
A lot of YouTube comments were saying, like, oh, typical police, never doing their job, blah, blah, blah. Very anti-police comments for some reason.
Fuck the police.
More German. I was going to mention something. Oh, yeah, I was just going to make a joke about Stunt Family Dad because I'm still stuck on that. But good on everyone who was in this film, minor parts or one of the 4 major parts. Sorry, I forgot about the kid for some reason.
Don't forget that kid.
He was very good in this film too.
Brilliant.
Like I remember way back, to tie back to Dog Month, when I did the Old Dogs episode and the kids in that, they were a bit less developed than kids in other films that we'd done on the show at that point. I was saying, like, they're more plot elements than they are characters. And in this film, you could say the same thing. The kid was very much a kid, and for a lot of people, they might find that annoying, but I felt it was incredibly genuine. He was, like, laughing at an obvious, like, cartoon about vegetable-loving superheroes that, like,
I love superheroes.
Not really a thing that an adult would appreciate, but it's like, oh, yeah, I get it. Kids can like that kind of stuff. I feel like he did a great job. He felt like a real kid, probably because he was a real kid. And, again, played very straight.
Excellent.
Playing straight does not have to be a bad thing.
Hear that?
That's not a sexuality comment, by the way.
You can take it that way if you want.
Well, I did say playing, it's not being, but...
So, Bartek, what would you rate this?
Yeah. Rating, I would give this film... I really don't have an idea, but I'll think of one. I give this film a... big red minivan out of a car dealership of no minivans. That's more than 100%.
You were stretching there, weren't you?
I really had no idea.
So, okay. Well,
if I can think
I know what my rating's going to be.
If I can think of a better one before the end of this episode, I'll give it.
I know what my one's going to be, since you didn't use it. I thought you were going to use it. But, okay. So, movie Kidnap, 2017. That was last year, people. We've had a whole year to redeem our mistake of not seeing this and making this one of the highest grossing movies of last year, or of any year. But it's now available on Netflix and I imagine other services, iTunes, your local video rental store. Heck, might be on Laserdisc. Buy a copy of this movie, watch this movie, enjoy this movie, and tell your friends about it. Because Halle Berry is a very...
I like bellies.
You do? Good.
I'm going to say berries, but fine.
You like bellies? You like berries in your belly?
Halle Berry, one of the top berries.
She is such a tasty berry. She's right up there with Daryl.
Debbie Derryberry.
Daryl Strawberry.
That's the voice actress for Jimmy Neutron.
Excellent. So this movie is perfect. I've already given you a whole podcast of what I thought about it, and I
was there too.
And you were there too. If I had to give this film a rating, I would give it a stunt family dad out of a stunt family mum that was also credited. So, Bartek, you have comments from YouTube, is that correct?
Yes.
And a review from IMDb?
Yes.
Well, let's hear from those. Yes. Because people may have some different opinions or something else to say that we didn't notice. Like you said, a YouTube comment was like me and didn't really notice the dog being taken care of. And
yes, and my retconned rating is 1 dead dog out of fuck that dog in particular.
Okay.
There we go.
Thank you.
So for anyone making a compilation of like all the facts of every episode and like what was the ratings of this episode, a cool out of yes, that you put the retcon rating for this one for our database people.
Yeah. Redux.
For the Spit and Polish wiki.
I'd love it if we had a wiki.
Let's make one.
And we're just like, we have our own TV tropes one. It's like, yeah, Bartek doesn't like cats being dropped. Ryan is pro cat dropping, and there'll be...
I think we were making TV tropes jokes last episode.
And then it's just like, it is known that Ryan does not like Metal Gear Solid 2, but has he expressed it enough? Question mark.
Acceptable targets or something. Like, Ryan does not like Raiden.
Yeah, exactly. Does anyone? Question mark.
Alright, so I've got... Not including responses, I've got 6 comments. The first one is going to be the one I focus on the longest because I have a lot of responses for that one.
Hit me.
The initial comment is, let me tell you guys I just saw this movie and Halle Berry is such a badass and the movie was very well directed. Very good movie, hope she gets an Oscar nod.
She's already won an Oscar. It would be great if she won another for this, but she didn't. So
like I said, there are a few responses to this. This person in particular, he had like a username called Kube Dog or something. So Kube here says, ha 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 ha, I wonder how many people don't realize you're being sarcastic. Awesome comment. And then a different person responds, this movie was actually pretty good, Kube. You're probably one of those kids that thought, and then for some reason they put XXX Return of Xander Cage was good.
That was good.
And then Kube responds, Halle is a terrible fucking actress. She makes dumb faces and reads script at a lifeless youth theater level. And this movie has been done 100 times with higher budgets. Come on, man, don't defend this shit.
How dare you?
And then the initial commenter responds, I don't know, there is something about this film. She made it really convincing. She isn't an Oscar winner for nothing. Sorry that you have a different opinion, though.
He told them.
He really thought that she was being sarcastic, but then, surprise.
Exactly. They got nailed there by the original commenter. So what's next?
The next comment is, my god, I have never seen a mother driving a minivan this crazy. Well, maybe my mother. Teary laugh emoji.
It's true. Their mum is crazy in the minivan. It's weird because it's Halle Berry's son. And it's really unique.
That's a good twist. The next comment is, the people around the mother were useless. My anxiety! And then a skull emoji, and then a skull and crossbones emoji. So I guess their anxiety killed them.
It's either that or they're a big fan of skulls.
2 different skull emojis, yeah.
That or they're a big fan of skulls and pirates.
Yep. You see, guys, your parents care about you more than anything else in the world. They protect you, and sometimes mums can be annoying with overprotective, but they are not being overprotective. They're wanting to make sure no stranger kidnaps you. Like what happened to the kid in the movie. Halle Berry, you're awesome.
Thank you. That was great.
I've got 2 more comments, and I quite like them.
Good.
This next comment's funny. It has like a grammatical mistake at the beginning, but that's not the reason why I like it.
Let's see.
In all caps, I jumped on top of the car and ripped that car to pieces.
Yeah, they would. That was Vin Diesel who wrote that, I imagine.
Maybe the Hulk. It was in all caps.
What, Vin Diesel?
Fair enough. Not Mark Ruffalo?
No, he's not in this.
He was too soft to low.
He was too soft to low.
Right. And the final comment, and it has a response.
Great. I'm ready.
The initial comment is...
Oh, Bartek, he can't contain himself.
It's not even that crazy. It's just really genuine.
Okay, hit me with your genuine comment.
They should stop kidnapping, like if you agree. 2 thumbs up emojis if you agree.
Did someone agree?
Response. I disagree. I think they should carry on kidnapping. Like if you agree, thumbs up emoji. If you agree, thumbs up emoji.
No, No, I think I already know the answer, but Did you count how many likes either comment got and which one got more likes?
I really should have.
Dang it.
We can look it up later, I guess.
I'll post on the Twitter. Well, I'm afraid that's the end of the show for this episode. But it has been an amazing time talking about such a fantastic film. If you want to be amazing, fantastic, wonderful, superfluously great listening people, feel free to give us a review and rating on iTunes. We are on many platforms: Podbean, iTunes as mentioned, Stitcher, YouTube, on many, many things, Google Play. So check us out. Until next time though, remember to be kind to each other.